Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to be taking part in the Dainer Made Pallet Wood Challenge 2023. My initial thoughts when I heard Mark talk about this was I don't really want to take part in that, as I really don't like working with pallets anymore because I'm a bit of a woodworking snob nowadays. But then I thought to myself, hang on a minute, Mark's had about 60,000 extra subscribers in the last couple of months. I could jump on the bandwagon of this and maybe get some of his subscribers. I don't mind if I steal a few of his views. So here you go, I'm taking part. Mark explained the rules to us and these were pretty simple. You've got to use pallet wood, but you're also allowed to use other ingredients. These could be anything from metal, screws, eggs, cheese, glass and other hardware. Now I didn't want my pallet wood to look like pallet wood. So what I did is I chopped as many of the nail holes out as I could, and then from there I started to reassemble the pallet wood into a brickwork effect. To do this I cut all the pieces to equal sizes and then I used the biscuit joiner to join them end to end. Sometimes when you're joining your boards together there might be some small gaps along the joint. This is generally due to us using a table saw and a jig rather than a surface planer or a jointer. But fear not, I have the solution. All you need is to grab yourself a pencil and a hand plane and mark the high spots with your pencil and then remove these high spots with the hand plane until the gaps are gone. If you can't fully get rid of your gaps, but they're less than a half a millimetre, don't worry too much about this. When you clamp it with some sash clamps or bar clamps, you'll be able to squeeze that gap until it's gone. As you can see, some of the pallet wood had way too many nail holes in to be able to remove these, so we just added some water-based wood filler. We then gave everything a good sanding down to 80 grit and then 120 grit and then moved on to the joinery. For the joinery, we kept this super simple, just using screws and then plugging these, as most of these holes was going to be hidden later on in the build. The pallet wood was looking a bit on the thin side around the edge, so we decided to double this up and then later added a face frame to hide any seams. I like to use black super glue to stabilise any knots and fill any remaining nail holes, and then it's on to the sanding session. I was going to use the CNC to do the engraving, but I decided instead to use the palm router, and this was just to show that you can still get great results using cheaper tools. I googled some Harry Potter writing styles on the old wireless device, and then I sketched it out the best I could. And then from there I put a straight cut bit in my palm router and I got as close to the edges as I dare. Now grab a few tinnies, sit back and enjoy the montage. It's been a long day. Oh, feet up. Oh, yes. For general sign writing, I like to use these straight cut bits. They're great because they come in lots of different sizes, really easy to get hold of. Top tune. For more intricate work, I like to use a 30-degree V-groove bit. When selecting my straight cut bit, I generally go for the largest bit I can get away with. This way I can do a roughing pass and it's actually easier to sneak up on the lines with a larger bit. Stopping regularly to make sure I'm not going over the lines, give everything a brush off, rest your eyes for a moment and then get back on with it. Jake, order a pizza. Pepperoni or meat feast. Next I moved on to creating the coat of arms. I use a combination square to get a 45-degree angle. I use a small can of wax to draw a half circle, and then I use a paper template to draw a larger circle, and then I cut all this out using my jigsaw. You could also use a router to do this with a bearing guided bit on an MDF template, or you could use a bandsaw. But I prefer to do it this way for this build, with it being a pallet wood build, keeping everything nice and accessible for everybody. I then sanded all the internal edges on the oscillating sander. The oscillating sander is a bit of a one-trick pony, but you'll find yourself using it a lot more than you think. It's great for sanding inside radiuses. I didn't use any mechanical fixings, brad nails or screws when attaching the Hogwarts sign. I wanted this to be seamless and so I just attached it with PVA wood glue and put some clamps on it. I left it for about 30 minutes before moving on. I used my small palm router to put a round over on the coat of arms and all around the edge of the face frame, softening the edges to the touch. 502 from Screwfix or Amazon is my preferred wood glue. I'll leave a link in the description for you. I don't buy any big name brands when it comes to wood glue because the 502 is quick drying and it's waterproof. The transition between the coat of arms and the face frame was a little bit too square, so I cut a piece of timber over at the miter saw and then I used a can of wax to draw a half circle around. I then cut this half circle on the bandsaw and then I just simply glued this on. I'd just like to take this opportunity to say thank you to all our Patreon and channel members. Without you guys supporting the channel with your financial donations, we won't be able to make the videos that we do, and we really do appreciate your support. If you're enjoying the channel, don't forget it's totally free to subscribe, and if you hit that notification bell, you'll be notified every time we release a video. Thanks again. Masking tape comes in handy when you've got an awkward shaped clamp, like this corner piece here. This stuff's really flexible and you can stretch it so it doesn't rip. I used my small Dremel blowtorch to add some depth by burning the inside of the writing. It's a great little tool, you can get right in the corners without doing too much overburn, and then I just sanded the rest off. I used spacers to make sure that I got an equal distance between each shelf, and some small wooden cleats glued and brad nailed on to hold the shelves in position. In hindsight, I would have done the shelves a little bit lower down because the top shelf is a bit too close to the coat of arms for my liking. For my other ingredients, I got some chain and a padlock from a DIY store. It was a little bit on the shiny side. I was going to leave it outside for a few weeks to rust, but this was going to take too long. I need to get on with the build. So instead I rubbed some oak wood dye on it, and that gave it a nice bronzy colour. To attach the chain, I had some C brackets, what I also bought from the DIY store. And I drilled some undersized holes and put some super glue on, and then just forced these into the holes with an hammer. It's not structural, so this should be just fine. A viewer warning, if you see these two individuals, please do not approach them. They are to be considered extremely chabby. I used the blowtorch to add some burning detail onto the corners. My preferred type of finish is an ethanol based, because this goes on a lot smoother with no blotchiness, and I'm using Morrells medium oak wood dye. And then for some extra protection, I gave everything a coat of Fiddies Rugger Brown wax. The bookshelf was going onto my daughter's wall, and the simplest way to do this was to use a French cleat. You don't have to excuse the bad lighting here because you're right next to a window, and this is now up in my daughter's bedroom. She's happy with it, that means I'm happy. I want to say a massive thank you to Mark for hosting the challenge. This was something a little bit out of the ordinary for me. Normally I'm doing commissions for clients, so I got to do something for myself and my family for a change. I'll leave a link in the description to all the other entries, make sure you check them out. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you watch this one because you'll love that one.